Hello everyone, welcome to History Forge. My name is Taylor Hamlin. I'm going to be getting out my infinite screen thing here. And we're going to be talking about how to do more writing and organizing for the website category. So I'm in here, my design pages I call them. So I got the 5 categories, National History Day. So if my students are just following along, go ahead and click on creating a website. So we're down in here now. And here we're going to go to where, there we go. When you click into there, it's going to take you to first step introduction. We're going to pass all that stuff, so we've already done this before. We're going to go down to third step where it says open and review with teacher, writing doc for websites. Now, you've got a few other things too. It says like writing introduction, body, conclusion paragraphs. We're not going to really worry about that quite yet. We might get to that if you're my group till later in the week, maybe even next week. But we're going to go ahead and just pause that for now and just kind of look at this. So we're going to click into writing doc for websites. And you guys have already seen this before. So if your teachers or other students following along, you need to open this. If you're my students, you need to have yours open. So if you're my students, you already have a thesis. You might have even already started naming these web pages. But we need to talk about this because we need to start writing our 1,200 words right here. So go ahead, pause me if you need to, but go ahead and get yours open. And once you have yours open, you should be looking at your thesis first. Now, I'm going to be very clear, your thesis box should only have your thesis. Now, I know if you're my students, you have been working on it. You've been editing and developing. Some of you who have groups have had more than one thesis at one point. So if that's the case, you need to get rid of all the extra stuff. You need to only have your thesis. So you should only have like 3 to 4 sentences in that box, and that is it. So make sure you do that. Again, if you need to pause my video to take care of that, do that now. But your thesis should be very simple, okay? Very cut and dry. We have all these other boxes called web pages. It goes web page 1 through 5. I just picked 5 because it should be at least a minimum. In reality, you should probably have more than 5. But looking at this is how we're going to start doing things. We're going to try to prove our thesis. Remember, big part of the history projects and really the main point of it is to prove this thesis. You have developed these theses based off all of your information, all of your beliefs, all of your research and your questions. So this is all 100% you. No one's told you this stuff before. This is what you believe. So we have to defend this thing now based off all the primary sources you've collected and everything you've done so far. We need to start kind of diving in and getting more. So you have your thesis now, hopefully. Again, removing everything else and looking at these web pages. I'm going to show you actually just how to get to a good website or how to kind of start modeling this thing. I'm going to use a website. So I'll go back just so you can kind of see how I got here. Maybe. Okay, well, I'll show you the other way. So go to Google and type in National History Day websites. There we go. And so we go into here, we go to project examples. For my students, we've been here before. You can see all the yearly winners. If we scroll down to websites, we have all this stuff. I picked A Duty to Starve, the Minnesota Starvation Experiment, because I am from Minnesota, and Minnesota's awesome. Haha. So we click into it, and we have this website. We got the title up here. We have all the web pages. Some of them drop down to other web pages to give you more stuff. And we got pictures and quotes and all that stuff, okay? So this is a web page. This is the very first web page. It's called Thesis. You can see here by the title, it says Thesis. So what we do is we actually go back into this thing, and for our first web page, we actually type in the word Thesis. We go back, we look at the other one, it says Stand. We do the same thing. The word Stand goes here. Hopefully you're seeing the pattern so far. We're going to keep on doing that. So we are just titling our web pages. Now I'm obviously just copying somebody else's. What you guys need to do for yourselves, though, is you need to actually create your own. And remember, your web pages should be something that either gives background information to your project or your topic, or it actually helps prove your thesis. So the primary sources, the analysis, all the quotes, everything you could think of and find, that's what you need to be thinking of. So again, background and trying to prove your thesis is accurate. That's the 2 things you want to be doing. So we go back into here. I'll go back to thesis. Obviously there'd be more web pages than this, but I'm not going to waste your guys' time to going through them all. It looks like these guys have several, so you'd have to do that yourself. Important thing to remember, we have 1,200 words to work with. Now, let me be very clear, that does not include quotes, citations, or captions. I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. So like right here, this thing in red that says the history of a man is in large part of the chronicle of his quest for food and blah, blah, blah. That is a quote. That is from Ansel Keys' The Biology of Human Starvation, 1950. So that quote and that citation right under it does not count towards your word count. None of that stuff counts towards your word count. It's a really important thing to remember. So you can have as many quotes as you want. Now, you want to make sure you're not bombarding your judges with just a bunch of useless things. They should all be defending your topic, but they don't actually count towards your word count. On this page, the thing that does count towards their word count is this stuff, this little information here in black next to this photograph. So if I copy this, I'm going to go ahead and hit Control-C. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to dump that into our thesis webpage. And there we go. So we have that. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to go to Tools, click Word Count. 85 words. So now I know that as 85 words out of the 1,200 words I'm allowed. It's good to know. And if we look down, all this other stuff here, the Minnesota Starvation Experiment through the participants' eyes, hover to read quotes, it says. That's pretty cool. I didn't realize you could do that. So you have these pictures and you hover over the photographs, you see quotes. These quotes wouldn't count. These titles don't count. None of this stuff counts towards our word count. So far, the only thing that's on this webpage that counts towards our word count is this stuff right here. That's it. Just 85 words. But total, they probably have closer to 150 words. So really pay attention to that, okay? And remember, these words are your analysis. They're in your words. So think about all the things that I've taught you in class as far as skill building. So use all of those social studies skills: sourcing, corroboration, contextualization, inferring, monitoring, and questioning. To do all those things, and as you analyze sources more, you should be able to come up with a pretty decent analysis. So we got that. We can go into next. Let's just go ahead and click into a new page so I can show you one more. So we had this one that says stand. We labeled that under web page 2. And a duty to stand is someone is killing someone ever ethical. This is a title. Does not count for word count. Again, we have another quote by Albert Dietrich, Conscience Objector, 1939. That does not count. And let's also notice this. Everything at the time they use a quote, they're putting it in red. So that's really easy for the judges to be like, oh, these are all quotes in red. These don't matter. And then all of a sudden we have something in blue. I'm not really sure why. Could just be showing somebody different. Maybe showing two different people. I don't know. But you can kind of see they have two different colors here, and they're just doing it to show differences. So really be paying attention to that. These things under the pictures are called captions. These also don't count, and you have to have them for every photograph. Yes, you do. You need to have a title and a date. If you don't have that, you shouldn't be using it. Even here, it says personal interview with Allison Bateman House, historian. That also does not count towards word count. If I play it,
So during World War I.
so hear it. It's about a minute and 3 seconds, so that none of that counts towards words. Once again, they only actually have about one paragraph, it looks like, and it's this one right here that counts. So let's go ahead and hit Control-C. We're going to dump it into our doc. There we go. And let's go ahead and go to Tools and Word Count. 862 words. So that's what we need to do. We need to do that every single time. And then once again, I don't want to waste your time, so I'm not going to go over the others. Definitely check out the website. So if I know I've made all my students do this, but if you're a teacher or another student, not my classroom, following along, or you're my students, you're just needing inspiration, go check out the winners. These are the ones who did it right. So, don't steal from them, but at the same time, be inspired by what they did. If they have a really cool style, borrow it. You make it your own. Do cool things that are similar to it. That's absolutely fine. So we have this, look how they set things up. Check more stuff out if you want. Kind of going back to this document, though, remember when you have 1,200 words, that is the biggest, most important thing we need to do in order to get ready for competition. We are eventually going to be peer editing these just like we did with our thesis. So make sure you do have these boxes filled out and be constantly checking your word count. In fact, I didn't say this earlier, but I'll say it now. I actually do want you to go in, once you make copies, I want you to go to Tools and figure out the word count. I do want you to write in parentheses how many words go into each box. This way it just keeps it up, you're able to count the words and figure out how many you have. That way you don't go over, okay? When you're first writing, don't be afraid to go over 1,200. If you and your partners or you as an individual write 1,500 words, don't freak out. As long as you get it done, chipped down before project time or the due date, you're fine. In fact, it's actually a lot of writers do write quite a bit more anyway, and then they kind of just weed out the bad sentences, the redundancies, the repetitiveness, all that stuff. I said repetitive after redundant. How redundant is that? Haha. So that's pretty much it for that. I think it's going over everything I want. If you're my students, you have questions, let me know. But this is basically all we're doing. I will stress this one more time. Make sure you're writing about background and analysis only. If we go back here, look at all the different quotes, videos, pictures that they have. This one little paragraph has to do the nearly impossible task of summarizing everything together. Now, you obviously can't mention every single source, but every piece of evidence should have the same theme. So if I look at this, they ask the question, is human experimentation ethical? And they have this thing called a duty to starve. I am assuming that most of these primary sources are dealing with starvation and human experimentation. That would make the most sense, right? So make sure all your things actually are connected. That's pretty much it again. Go ahead and check this doc out, and that's all from me. Let's see how much time we have. 10 minutes, perfect. All right, guys, if you're my students, go ahead and close the computer. Or move on. So, hello everyone else. I'm Taylor Hamblin from History Forge. Again, when we do these things, we really try, I really encourage teachers to find as many ways as possible to look for ways to coach students without actually having to physically being in front of them. I use these OBS videos, and so I'm able to go through, and I'm making a few others for the other categories, like, I'll highlight these. National History Day teachers, we have 5 categories we have to teach, and teaching them all in the same classroom at the same time is impossible. So we have to find ways to help students reach their goals, but still be there for them. So if you ever have questions about setting this stuff up, please let me know. Feel free to message me. All these links and resources, I'll put them in my video description. We also have stuff on Facebook and Instagram that we post about weekly, and we have a history webpage too called History Forge that has a blog and all that stuff. So feel free to check that stuff out, read the video description if you need to, and then if you ever have questions of this or have any opinions or even suggestions, please let me know. I appreciate it. That's it for me. You guys take care and have a good night. Bye.